What are we doing? Business
Boom, there it
Brothers.
is. All right,
What's
here
up?
we go.
All
I don't
right.
know what's up with the internet, ladies and gents. Sometimes it wants to do its thing and sometimes it doesn't. So if you guys are done being, overwhelmed, confused, frustrated in your business, then today's episode is for you. So let's get to it. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Is your business in need of customers? Then you found the right show. Hernan Cias is the business bro, and he makes getting customers fun and easy. Watch, listen, and learn as each episode is designed to sell. Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros.
Bros.
Yeah,
All right,
here we
brother.
go. Let's
I
do
love
this.
it, man.
Who do we got
Great
on the show
energy,
today?
man.
Confusion is the breeding ground for failure. And when you don't know what you're doing or you can't convey that clearly to your team or staff, then you're in trouble. Your business is in trouble. But once you get that clarity, then all of a sudden you can really begin to create some traction. You begin to live life by design and take control of your time. And today's guest is helping people and business owners find that clarity in value and in purpose. So join me as I learn all about finding clarity. And let's welcome to the show, business and entrepreneur coach, Mike Coluzzi. Ooh, there we go, Mike.
I love it, man. I love it. Great energy, brother.
Pure. That's it, man. You got to wake up every single day as if it's the last one you got, because you never know when it's actually going to be the last one. That's my thought, right?
You're the business bro and the party bro.
Except in real life, I'm not a big partier, but I do love to have some fun.
Well, I love
that.
it, man. You got great energy, man. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Mike. All right, let's do this. Why'd you get into this space?
Why are you doing this?
Because I want to know.
We all want to know, why are you doing this?
You know, it all boils down to the simple phrase of paying it forward, right? Because I was a guy who was stuck in a lot of overwhelm and frustration and kind of went through that whole professional loop of thinking that, okay, you got to go to school, go get advanced degrees, surrender my whole existence to that whole corporate grind and everything like that. And I realized, between my wife and myself, she was working as a pharmaceutical rep. I was working as an attorney and as a real estate developer. From the outside, everyone looked at us and said, oh my gosh, they have all this success. But in the meantime, we were completely miserable, frustrated, and we had to redesign our life. And that's the first time. I mean, there's a long story behind it, but I got in touch with a business coach who just turned my whole world around. And ever since then, man, I just have really changed my whole tune, learned how to get in tune with really how to do the things that I'm doing now and really be more clear, live a more empowered space, live by design, all those things that I talk about and we talked about on the website that I have on the website where, you can, it's just a change in your mindset. It's a change in your belief system, learning new skills. And I figured if I could do it and I can help other people do it to live life the way they want, then you know what? Then I'm doing good. Then I'm doing good things.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because the vulnerability really lies, the connection that we have with people really lies in where that struggle was happening. Because, dude, the way you're describing yourself back then, I mean, you even said it. You look successful. And, when I first got into doing tax returns, for example, I started to see the behind the scenes of what I thought was success, the projection of success versus like, wait, you really are broke. You're living paycheck to paycheck, or you are really hating the life that you're living because you have zero time, but you look like that ideal, Instagrammable, perfect life. Walk me through what people saw and what you were feeling and that made you guys want to make that move.
Well, it all started, honestly, when I was when I got out of law school way back in 1998. I was working for a law firm, and I was one of these guys, and I talked to a lot of people about this, that I bought into the whole idea of just like I said earlier, what it meant to be a professional and all the ego associated with being a professional and all that identity about being a professional. And, everything had to be perfect at all times. Right. And it just became a situation where I became somebody who got overwhelmed with that identity of perfection, right? And always being perfect and trying to be perfect. And, it just becomes a really challenging thing. Too much weight on the shoulders ultimately kind of drags you down. So if you look at me now, I'm 51 years old, but if you looked at me back then, 20 some odd years ago, I probably look better now than I ever did back then because I was miserable, overweight, frustrated. And that was the first time when I really said, you know what, I got to do, the lock it came unlocked in my mind that I had to change, how I'm doing things. And ultimately I was the first time I left the law. I kind of got burnt out after about 4 years, and I went to do work for a legal publishing company. And I did really, really well in that publishing company and made 4 times the amount of money I had, in the first year that I had been making as a lawyer. And I thought I had I thought I had hit the jackpot. So at that point, after a couple of years, I started buying real estate and investing in real estate. And then I had developed a real estate development business with my brother and my father because I had kind of grew up in that business. So from 2003 all the way through 2008, that was the world I was living in. And it was really high stress, high pressure, right? Signing my name on all kind of loans and, those collateral agreements with, where you're signing your life away on those personal guarantees and things like that. But that's what I thought I had to do. Right. So then 2008 hit. And if you remember what happened in 2008,
big crash,
the big, humongous crash. And I got caught in the crossfire like so many other people. So that hit me literally like a ton of bricks. And it was one of those situations where I had to pick myself up by the bootstraps and figure out what I'm going to do next. And at that point, I literally start practicing law again because I figure, by the time, if you remember, the economy was in such disarray, right? There was so much uncertainty in the air, and it was a difficult type scenario. I said, before I spend all this effort and time to try and, go quote unquote, get a job, after being self-employed for, many years at that point, I just opened up, I started to do legal work, representing anybody I could, representing contractors and guys who I used to, I used to give work to as a real estate side, doing all types of things. And at that time it was really strange, but, I often call you meet people who are just so, intense. Right. And I had a lot of intensity, a lot of kind of pent up aggression. And because, I kind of gone through the ringer there. And the light bulb happened with me when the first thing happened, and it happened by actually with a complete stranger who interjected into my life when I was apparently throwing off some pretty heavy vibes because I was representing somebody in a municipal court hearing in New Jersey where I used to live. And this guy who I never met before came up to me and he said, "You need to read the 4 agreements." And I looked at this total stranger, and this was early in the morning. It was an early morning. Dude, it was really crazy. It was early, when the municipal court, early courts, you have to go there, courts at 8, you got to be there for 7. So I'm there early, man. And I had just I left my house. My wife and I were kind of arguing because there was a lot of financial stress going on right there at the moment. And so I'm sitting there kind of, I guess, gritting my teeth or whatever it was. And he came up to me and said, "You need to read the 4 agreements." And I said, I looked at him like, who the hell's this guy? But instead of blowing it off, I said, you know what? Maybe this is from somebody who's coming from another realm or whatever, right? And guess what? I took that piece of advice and I bought that book. And that was the first time in the history of my life, right? Now, everybody has their own journey or whatever else. But for me, I never read self-improvement books or any type of books particularly about how to quiet your inner chatter. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
think about that, right? Think about the doers, the people who are just grind, but they never sit back and reflect and understand that, maybe some of that force is not necessarily the way you want to approach life. So that book was one of the main reasons and one of the first starting points for me to start making a shift. And so,
Well, let's
so
talk
that was
about
a
that
really
shift.
cool
I mean,
thing.
I mean, that transition, first of all, to have that angel essentially on your shoulder
Isn't
to
that
come
cool?
in and like really
And I
point
never
you in a
saw the guy
direction.
again. Never
No,
saw the guy again. He
isn't
was
it funny
gone.
how life works that way, right? I mean, you meet people that all of a sudden say something, do something, make you feel something, and all of a sudden your life isn't quite the same. And you can point to that pivot point, right? So you
Yeah, man.
shifted, you started doing a little bit more self-improvement, deciding you wanted to improve your life. What do you do now?
What do you do?
Well, now what I do is I figure, I have all these years of over 20 some odd years as an entrepreneur, business owner, attorney, right? And I realized that a lot of business professionals, like service-based professionals, people who, kind of walk the same path that I walk, they're miserable, they're frustrated, they're angry, they don't have a really good understanding about how to reposition their brain on, sales and marketing, their money mindset, right? How to maybe sort of let go of control, all these core factors that are really needed to kind of evolve as a business person. I work with people one-on-one to help them, right? To get that, that clarity in their vision, number one, and then also to kind of help them reposition themselves so they can optimize their business. Right. So, one of the things that we talked about, and one of the things, like if people go to my website, it's all about, the whole getting clear prospect. And the whole idea of getting clear is recognizing that I found this too, is like, because so many people don't really understand marketing and sales. And there's a whole background story as far as how I became a real expert in that as well, which I'll be happy to share with you. But ultimately, most service professionals, attorneys, CPAs, engineers, all these professional degree type people, they never really studied sales and marketing, right? In a way where, and a lot of times they have, their mindset surrounding their profession that keep them stuck. I mean, if you ask most people what their feeling is about sales and marketing or branding, they cringe.
Oh yeah.
Right. And they don't understand. My running statement is like, whatever it is that you do, doesn't matter. If you don't also recognize that sales and marketing and understanding how to connect with people and make meaningful connections with people is just at the pinnacle point of whatever it is you offer as well, then you're not
going to win.
You're not going to win. You're not going to
No,
win.
you're absolutely right. I mean, it's funny because I feel like this is one of the last pieces of my entrepreneurial journey that I'm putting together. The last almost 4 years, 916 episodes, creating a brand and developing a system where literally our calendar is booked out 10 weeks in advance. If you have any sales professional that has appointments booked out that far in advance, they're doing something right. Right? There's a problem that is being met and you're meeting that problem. That's really what a salesperson is doing. And on the marketing side, it's showing up. So you're not invisible, because we all start off invisible. Then we create content or whatever we need to do to become visible. Then after we've been creating stuff and we show up on a regular basis, we become credible. And once people trust you with that credibility, you move into that profitability state. Right? I mean, that's
100%.
just the phase that we work through. And when you're working with clients, Mike, I'm sure you're seeing trends on what problems they have because you're already starting there. So let's talk about that. What problems are you solving?
Hey, we've got a problem here.
Well, here's a perfect example. Let's take you, for example. You have been able to thrive in this platform, right? Because you have purpose, I call it, my term is purposeful alignment. Right? You are in a totally alignment with where you can show up each and every day and kind of show up as the best version of yourself. And to use a real estate term that we use in real estate, it's particularly commercial real estate. Whenever you're evaluating a piece of real estate, it's always like, what's its highest and best use?
Yes.
Right? So the reason why you're close to 1,000 episodes and the amount, and when you're showing up, and of course, I'm sure you have your days where, you may be not, and I mean, it's not all
Not motivated.
roses and, beautiful situations, right? However, what keeps you going is the fact that, you're in alignment
Yes.
with what you feel that you can really, really thrive in, right? So that's, to me, is what I strive to help my clients achieve. So if you think about, perfect example, how many lawyers who are just miserable?
Yeah, ton. They hate themselves
Right?
more than other people hate them. It's crazy.
Right? How many accountants, how many engineers? I mean, because I've been in the business so many years, and what really is, it's always really sad too, is like, they wind up, they're just miserable, right? And I'm like, there's more to life if you just open up and learn that you can make some tweaks. It doesn't have to make these, like, look, I took it to an extreme. Like, I left the industry, I went out there, took crazy risks. My wife and I both quit our jobs. We got involved in a network marketing business. We became top earners in a network marketing business, right? I mean, we took some major risks because, through that, I've earned, I've developed so much experience through that. But like, I know that that's not, most people are not going to do that. I mean, most people want to stay kind of, they don't want to bet the house on things, but I have on multiple occasions. And sometimes I got my ass handed to me, but sometimes, I've done pretty good, and I'm really grateful for that. So if I can help people just to feel better about what they're doing, instead of thinking and wasting their time about, God, I hate this job, or God, I wish I could do something else. It's making a shift to realign how you view your life, and then start, look, I have an accounting degree as well. So like, between accounting, law, business, I mean, I'm like, and as like, for years, like over 20 years as being an entrepreneur, man, you become like a utility player. You do whatever the hell you got to do to keep it, keep things moving. So, there's not many things that kind of cross my desk or come across, from me, where I can't give somebody some good, reasonable baselines levels to think about. Like, I was working with a client today who's very successful in a lot of other verticals. But the fact is that, I was trying to point out to him about the importance of the fundamentals of doing the right type of financial planning, particularly in this climate when it deals with like real estate development, because of, how the economy is with respect to the rises of construction costs, the shortages of manpower. So like, these are things that come into my mind because I've done so many things that, I can process it through a lot of things. But ultimately the goal is, like I said, if I can get people to lean into what they do because they now feel that they're empowered doing it, and they can develop their skills in new ways to really thrive and not waste time. I tell that to people all the time. Like, we all think like, when we're in our 20s and our 30s and even our 40s, like, there's, for most of us, we don't ever look too far in the future to realize that, like, I've got to, like, there becomes kind of like a shorter timeline for margin of error
as you get older, for sure.
Right. So if a person who is like a mid-career professional, or a guy who is in their upper 40s, in their 50s, who is just really not happy and struggling and overwhelmed and frustrated about situations, they need someone like me, because I can help them redefine their purpose, reevaluate things, learn and be introduced to some new skills so that they can leverage their, what they're really good at, but in a new way. Does that make sense?
So yeah, it totally does. So who is that ideal customer? I mean, who's this person that you ideally would like to work with?
I am looking for qualities beyond the physical.
That's a great question. So the best client is, for me, is small business people, right? Service-based professionals, those licensed professionals, the lawyers, the accountants, the engineers, and then also, or business people who have been operating, in a small business, and then I've hit a slump, or I hit a stagnation point where they have to, learn some new skills and be introduced to some skills. Like I said, particularly like sometimes, like I've worked with a lot of builders too, because it's my background. So I always gravitate towards people who I have a really high level of experience with. And a lot of times with builders, they're guys who I always say, like, a lot of these guys, they operate like out of their trunk, and their mindset with money is so poor, and their bookkeeping is terrible. They don't even have a designated bookkeeper. They don't have any real infrastructure. And, like I had a recent client who I helped transition from, being that hands-on guy, but then to leverage his network in a way so that he can be more of an influential player, to use his experience as a contractor, but then to start attracting some investors to create an investor pool, right? So he can, right? Because in this climate, and you're out in California, right? So I know here in Florida and even anywhere in the world, what do people always want to get? They want to get good contractors, someone they can rely upon, right? So I helped this contractor totally reposition himself. So because I told him, ultimately, you're 47 years old. Do you still want to be swinging a hammer at 55?
That's the problem. They're good at what they do, right? They're good at becoming that self-employed person, not so good at becoming a business owner. They don't have those processes and systems and things in place. And go for it.
No, that's exactly right. No, but and those are the things. It's so, if I could be, I like the fact that I kind of pride myself on, look, I'm an authentic guy. I mean, I have very zero
what you
ego,
see is
man.
What you get.
Yeah, man. So I want people to feel comfortable around me. So, and I usually that happens. And once they realize that, like, I really want to see you succeed. I don't want to see you struggle. I want to see you thrive and be happy and actually do things, that bring joy to your life, because it goes by quick, buddy. I told a client yesterday, a new client who was so, a really dynamic, really smart person, like really, really good at what he does, but so in his head. Right. And I'm like, and I coached him through, like, how to just give himself the time to just start dedicating some time, because he deserves to spend some time doing things that bring him joy.
Yes. But even that, even that, Mike, figuring out sometimes for myself personally, what it is that makes me happy, I almost always default back to, well, am I doing my work, man? That's what makes me happy. Like getting to that next level, getting to that next step. And that can also be a trap in and of itself. I find myself sometimes, I'm like, you're literally working when you could be hanging out or doing something else or playing a video game or whatever. Right. But finding some
but you seem to really like what you do.
Yeah, I do. Right? That's always the thing, right? But
that's a beautiful thing, man.
It's also perspective, right? Like there's times where, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, but I also have a wife and kids and other people who want my attention as well. And being able to kind of make that conscious decision to do those other things. Mike, you've been in business for a while. What are you doing to get customers, to get coaching clients right now, like to be able to acquire them?
So what I'm doing now is I'm really been leaning heavily back on in LinkedIn, and I'm revamping and rebranding my website. I hired some good internet marketing people, right, to help me connect with folks, and I'm leveraging social media in a way that, as you do, using video, getting out there, I may not feel very comfortable in front of the camera, but putting myself out there on a consistent basis. And now that I used to live in New Jersey, but my wife and I, we relocated to the west coast of Florida. So now we live in a brand new location. I live right downtown Sarasota, Florida. So what I'm really excited about is, when I was back in New Jersey, I would network all the time. Because like I told you, my wife and I, we had built a network marketing business. So we were always out, right? And I was always, meeting people, and the way I always would, the way I built my network was just through service, right? Making the right connections. Hey, this would be a great person for you to meet. Whoever is looking for this, like if someone was looking for visibility appearances, I'd be like, hey man, check out Business Bros. I would make the introduction, type up the intros, right? Never ask for anything.
You're being of value. That's what you're
Right,
doing. You're
exactly.
being of value to other people.
So now I'm really excited because, like, as we know, I mean, like COVID just killed us in that realm. So I'm excited to be down here now, and my wife and I are starting to kind of start building some relationships down here. And one of my mentors said to me too, which I never forgot, and I always would do it whenever I could, was he would say to me, don't go to events, be the event.
Yes.
So back home, I would do fundraisers, I would do blood drives, I would do meetups, I would all kind of things to just get
generate
people in a room.
Attention.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm starting to do that down here too, which is really cool, because you can't just rely upon social media, and if you're a people person like I am, you want to engage with people,
man, there's all kinds of tools that you can use. I mean, we've mastered this whole thing on podcasting. I mean, I know if you're interested in creating content as well as meeting new people, booking your calendar, you need to hit me up, because I'm going to help you set that up. You need to do, you need to get in front of blank people that never met you before in your life. Then you need to hit us up, because we can help you with that paid advertisement. One of the greatest things that I love is a video testimonial. You do good work for somebody, they're going to be happy and excited. They're loving the fact that you've taken care of their problem, you've solved their problem, you've done a great job. But capturing that on video is so powerful. And that's one of the things that we love to use, is a video testimonial, because it's something that you can turn around and create an ad around, or you can turn around and send it to that prospect that's on the verge of saying yes or no, wanting to work with you. Because it's cool if you say you're good. It's better when your customers say how good you are. What do you think about video testimonials?
I think it's great. I think it's phenomenal. I couldn't agree with you more.
That's the way they work, dude. They're that powerful. All right, before we head out, I want to make sure you talk about what you have to offer.
Me? I'm giving away free money.
What
kind of promos do you got going on right now?
Well, there's nothing beats, my experience, nothing beats truly, a conversation. So what I like to do, because there's a ton of courses and a ton of giveaways, and I don't know about you, man, but like, how many PDF books are you going to read?
None.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of, so the most important thing is, when a person is looking to hire a coach, they want to, we all know about, people do business with people they like, know, and trust. Imagine the idea of, building, having a situation where you're, showing your vulnerabilities to someone, right? And wanting to kind of use that person's knowledge and experience and have them help you, to be guided to improvement. So I feel the best way to do that is always through, a free call. I always direct people to say, hey man, just book a 20-minute call. We will get on the phone, and I have a standard group of questions that I like to ask people. I always like to ask people, what are they looking to do, to achieve in their top things they want to achieve in their business in the next 12 months, right? Then what are they doing to achieve that? And then what are the 3 obstacles that are holding them back? And that usually spurs a really good conversation to see if I can bring value to their life. And if they do, and if I can, and if there's a fit, then we just go through the process. And I work basically on 3-month engagements with people, and I work weekly with them. So every week, same time, we get on the horn, or we get on a Zoom, right? Or, if we're close enough, we can actually meet belly to belly, which is cool. But, just consistently working through, those tasks, because once I get a client engaged, there's a series of questions I ask them that we can really delve down deeper for me to get an understanding of where they stand on certain things. And then we work through that process. And it works really well. I'm really grateful to be able to do it. And that's how I roll. So if anybody's interested in doing that, the easiest way to get a hold of me is obviously through my website, but really just shoot me an email at mike@mikecoluzzi.com. It really can't get much simpler than that. Mike@mikecoluzzi.com. Just say, hey man, I heard you're on Business Bro. I'd love to talk to you. It's really that simple, if they want to connect with me on LinkedIn as well, that's totally cool. But that's the best way to do it.
Sweet, Mike. That's it, dude. You rocked it. Another episode of the Business Bros. I got 2 more questions for you. One of them is definitely video testimonial related. We are big on that. So I'm going to ask you, hopefully you had a good experience on the Business Bros. What was your experience like on the show?
Business Bros is outstanding because they have amazing energy and an amazing, authentic host who brings out good content from the characters or their guests. And I highly recommend it to anybody to listen or come on as a guest.
Perfect, my friend. And then one last thing, you booked out 10 weeks in advance. What was our marketing like? How did you like our marketing process as far as booking, the constant follow-up that we send, our materials that we send to you? What's our marketing like?
I think you guys do a great job. It's obvious you guys use systems and you're consistent on those systems. So, systems avoid overwhelm and confusion, right? And it helps drive a good, consistent result. So I definitely respect you guys. And that demonstrates a level of professionalism as well. So I applaud you guys for that.
Thanks, man. Systems save yourself time, energy, and money, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to when you use them. All right, Mike. Well, thank you very much for hopping on the show today. Ladies and gents, I didn't even do...
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
I forgot, man. How can I do that? It's probably because I'm overwhelmed, maybe a little frustrated, maybe a little whatever's going on. But that's what happens if you don't have clarity. You forget a few things. You fall into distractions really easily. You go from the next shiny object to the next shiny object. If you have clarity, you will know exactly what to do, where to go, and what steps you need to do to get there. So I'm going to throw this one more time on the screen. MikeColuzzi.com. Go over there, set up a conversation. Whenever you're in a position where you're ready to take your business to the next level, you need to look into coaching. And every single coach that's been on the show may or may not be a fit for you. The first thing you need to do is set up an appointment and have a conversation. See if you guys jive, see if you click, see if you're on the same page, and then go ahead and work together. MikeColuzzi.com, MikeColuzzi.com. All right, Mike, thank you very much for being on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we will see you guys again mañana. Peace. And we're out.
Thanks for watching The Business Bros. If you're ready to get more clients and want to work with The Business Bro, visit our website, www.businessbros.biz, and click on the Need More Customers button, or learn how to generate more referrals with our video testimonial packages. Go to www.businessbros.biz.